What could be more appropriate in a Hollywood setting than to meet a real filmmaker, a man who turns out films by the dozens, the way they used to? Menahem Golan of Canon Films is our guest, and Over the Top, we're going to get to it presently, but when I said a real filmmaker, I mean you're in that tradition of making lots of movies with lots of top directors. It seems like Hollywood has gone different directions from that recently. You're going back to a tradition.
Well, since childhood I loved Hollywood. I grew on Hollywood movies. I always missed them, and I think millions of people miss a lot of the Hollywood fairy tales.
And since we went to films on an individual basis, individual package basis, it seems like filmmakers maybe will only make one film every 2 years or so. Last year, how many did you make?
Well, at Canon Films, approximately 40, which is very much, a lot, maybe too much.
That accounts for a sizable percentage of all of the films total to come out of Hollywood.
That's right, but me personally, I was involved half a year in Over the Top as a director. So actually the company did 40 movies.
Through Canon Films, you have provided the resources and the exposure for such top-line directors as Godard, Weltmuller, Altman, Frankenheimer, Godard, the list goes on. Do they seek you out now? Do you seek them out? Is there a conscious attempt to keep these people working?
It's possible that they understand that at the top of Canon sits a man who is a filmmaker. He's not a lawyer, he's not an agent, he's not a manager, he's not an accountant. He's a movie director himself who loves to make movies and knows movies and loves great work of art in the movie industry. So all those directors who find it difficult to finance and make the movies, they do find my telephone number.
When does that become a drawback to be a filmmaker working with other filmmakers? Is it hard to step back sometimes?
It's very hard, no doubt, especially that my first love is directing. And for me, the experience of coming back to directing and doing Over the Top was, I think, the best experience I had in my life.
You indicated that you were also a filmmaker and company head with your cousin. How unusual is it that a studio executive is a filmmaker?
It is very unusual nowadays. It used to be more in the past. That's why they compare us to the old time, like you started to say. I think that the old kind of moguls of Hollywood used to be filmmakers, real filmmakers. Some of them came from Europe. They didn't come to Hollywood actually to make money. They came to make movies. And I feel the same. I feel I'm here making movies, the thing I like to do.
Now, you have been responsible for what we could call a number of art films.
Yes.
But at the same time, you go for the action, adventure, popular appeal pictures. Are you a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde character yourself?
It's possible. I do like to meet audiences at every aspect, at every spectrum of our society. I like to see a movie at 42nd Street, and I like to see a movie at the University Theater, cinema, and I like to see movies for children, kids. Actually, them I like most, and that's why we are now involved in producing a lot of fairy tales. And here we have, again, I must bring you back to Over the Top, because I look to it as a film that covers all ages. That's what I was seeking until I found that script of Over the Top. I was seeking for a movie that will go to a student in the university, will entertain a guy in 42nd Street, and a child could take his father or a mother could take her child to go and see such a movie. And I'm very, very excited that this movie is opening now, and I'm looking forward to some very special excitement in the public.
The Cinderella Formula being turned on its head in Over the Top, a riches to rags, if you will, kind of formula. The Shirley Temple movies of the 30s used to do that a lot.
Right.
You know, she'd be the rich, poor little rich girl. She'd be the rich kid going and learning new things from poor people.
You're right. As it said, there's nothing new under the sun. There are
but it's a good formula.
Yes, there are a certain amount of stories. It's just each one differs from the others in the interpretation and the way they are made. As a famous Russian director, creator, Stanislavski said, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
The fate of the child that hangs in the balance of Over the Top.
Yes.
Is it something that, I don't know if you have children or not yourself.
I have 3 daughters myself.
Okay. Now let's take those 3 daughters, or any daughters or sons, growing up in an industry where their dad has such power.
Oh.
Is that a problem for them? Would you rather they be out driving a truck somewhere, learning life the hard way?
And how, you're right.
And how?
And how, it's very difficult. But they are now kind of near the film industry. Apparently my personality was too strong to let them go out, and they're staying in.
Mm-hmm.
And the story in Over the Top of the child, from, as you said, from riches to rags, the way it is the opposite side, it basically, it is from missing the love and the emotion that he needed by a lack of father. So basically we are talking here about a love story, a real love story between a father and son.
Because it strikes me that other Stallone pictures, like Rambo and First Blood, may have appealed more to the fathers in the audience, but Over the Top might appeal to the moms as well.
That's what I believe in. I believe that will be maybe one of the first times, maybe like Rocky #1, that Stallone will appeal to women very much.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a story about Stallone working on the arm wrestling techniques. Tell us a story on it.
A story. Well, let me tell you, when he was in Vegas, and we didn't know still, while shooting the movie, what kind of an end we're going to give to the movie. And Slice said, let's ask the audience. We had 2,000 extras. And I said, there's no way you can lose. There's no way. Ask them. And we made a competition among the audience. And he said, okay, I'm going to lose my last fight now in front of you. And all the audience rose, no, no. And then when I said, is he the winner? And they all screamed and stood up and cheered, etc. It is a feeling that is in America, American heroic stories. America likes to see a winner, and that's what we're giving them.
Would you like to see this movie help generate a whole new popular interest in this sport?
In the sport, and basically to get away a little from violence, to go back to sentiment, to romance. We are going back to romance.
Is this a prediction for other projects from Cannon to come?
Yes.
For example, maybe a few titles we can look forward to.
Well, a movie that will be distributed by Warner Brothers. It will be like Surrender, Superman 4, Surrender with Sally Field, which is a romantic comedy, and Master of the Universe, which is again a science fiction, love story, action adventure, romantic.
Well, if we could take you at your word, Menahem Golan, that's in the best Hollywood tradition too.
Thank you.
I'm talking with him on the occasion of the release of Over the Top from Hollywood, and for KCTV5, I'm John Tibbetts.